Michael Lemberger was 74 years old when he passed away last June at the hospice house here in Ottumwa. The famed photographer, artist, and historian spent his lifetime building the Lemberger collection, a well-documented and archived stockpile of more than 1.5 million images like the ones you see behind me here at the South Ottumwa Savings Bank. In this 5-part series, we examine Michael's life, his collection, and his legacy. On April 24th, what's been described as the largest and best documented photo collection in the world will be donated to the University of Iowa. Yesterday, we heard all about Michael, his influences, and how he got started taking photographs. Today, we'll take a more in-depth look at his collection.
Lauren Horton, who was senior historian for the Iowa State Historical Society before his retirement, would often come and dig through the collection and use it. He used it to illustrate several books and articles that he used. He said it was easier to find things in Michael's collection than it was in any other museum or photo collection that he had ever used. And he has researched at Oxford and at the Victoria and Albert in London and various Smithsonian, a lot of well-known institutions. He said it was not only easier to find things in Michael's collection, but that it was better cataloged and better organized. And he said that in his experience, it was the largest, best documented, best organized collection of photographs in private hands.
This photograph, the cross is on top of Willard Street Methodist Church. And this was taken at the instant that Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon and said, "That's one small step for man." And it ran in the Courier, very small, in the classified runover section. And later, when Associated Press found it, they said it should have moved on the wire, and to their knowledge, it was the only photograph taken from Earth of the moon at that moment, because all the other photographers were inside taking pictures of TV screens. But he had gone out with the transistor radio and the tripod and the camera and waited for that moment, moving the camera to keep the cross and the moon in his frame. This one's called The Lobby, and the inspiration for this was something that is completely impossible, because for instance here you have 2 pillars and they're square right above my hand, and then below there are 3 pillars and they're round. And you walk up the stairs here to the mezzanine, you walk up the stairs and you're back on the same level you started on. Back here we have a wall that's straight across the top and indented on the bottom, but you just glance at it and it doesn't look like that. So the entire piece, everything you look at in here is a completely impossible concept. It took him about 2 years to come up with this, and there are all kinds of sketches as he worked through it. And by the time he finished it, it had been about 2 years of work. And from the courthouse, showing the old Market Street Bridge and the old course of the river. That's one of the early dams and Kelly's Army crossing the dam. The courthouse when it was brand new. Here's the courthouse before it was done. And these are all from the glass plate.
But on at least 2 occasions, he saved massive drums of negatives that were headed for the dump. And then a great many of the others came from photographers who said, you know, I have all these pictures, I'm downsizing, I don't know what to do with them. And Michael would say, give them to me, I will make sure that they're preserved. The collection came from all kinds of directions. Another source was auctions. He had people who would go to auctions and bid on cameras and photographic albums and that kind of thing, and bring them to him just sight unseen, not knowing what was in there. The entire collection will be donated to the University of Iowa Special Collections Department in the U of I libraries. And that includes all the images, prints, and support documentation. Michael's mother was very devoted, and she kept a scrapbook from the time of his first photograph that was published. And every published photograph that she could get her hands on went into those scrapbooks. So there's a stack of scrapbooks, you know, almost as tall as I am.